Hello again, class. Welcome back to History 01. In our last lecture on History 01, we defined both small h history and capital H history. Now that we know what both of them are, we can finally go over the historical method. Now, when I was a college freshman, I took an entire course on the historical method, but I'm going to try to condense what I learned over that entire course into a single YouTube video. Long story short, the primary and secondary sources correlate with historical research and historiography. You might already know that primary sources are sources from the time and place in question, whereas secondary sources are the works that present-day historians have produced in order to describe a time and place in history. However, you probably need an explanation of the word historiography. You see, historiography is not a fancy synonym for history. Rather, historiography is literature that describes an entire range of secondary sources, pointing out common or mutually exclusive themes, biases, rhetorical styles, and methodologies. For example, in my historical methods course, we had to write an essay about 8 secondary sources of the Salem witch hunts. We used absolutely no primary sources and instead focused on writing a thesis about these 8 books and articles from modern times. Hence, we ended up writing a historiographical essay. Afterwards, we wrote a research essay about the Salem witch hunts, which did require us to use primary sources instead of secondary ones. These 2 essays demonstrated the difference between historiography and historical research. Essentially, there is not one, but 2 different historical methods. If you want a career in history, the choice is yours, whether you want to be a historiographer who writes about entire collections of history books, or a historical researcher who writes some of the very books that the historiographer analyzes. Now that you all understand the difference between historical research and historiography, you are now ready to start learning a short or long series on ancient Mesopotamia. I will not simply regurgitate facts, because then my word is no more valid than the word of someone who speaks nonsense. Rather, I will introduce you to how I learn the facts that I intend to spread to you in the next class session of History 01. In order to give myself enough time to learn these facts, I need to work on a TR schedule instead of an MWF schedule, but stay tuned for my subsequent class session on Psychology 01.